Hello beautiful people of the internet, how are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video I am going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of July 2019. In the month of July, I read 4 books totaling 1,997 pages. 2 of these books I got from the library and 2 were ones that I own just in my own personal collection. And I have to say, I really enjoyed every book that I read in July. Every single book I read got either 4 or 5 stars, and I am really excited to talk about them with you guys. So the first book that I read in the month of July was I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh. This is an adult thriller, and I originally heard about this book, I think on Books and Lala's channel. She talked about this book and said that she really liked it and that it had an amazing twist. I only ended up giving this book 4 stars, which I say only like that's a low rating. It's not. It's a really high rating. It just happens to be the lowest rating that I gave this month. So at the beginning of I Let You Go, a 5-year-old boy named Jacob is killed in a hit-and-run accident, and so the book partially follows the police who are trying to find out who the driver was that struck Jacob. At the same time, we follow Jenna Gray. Now, after the accident, Jenna's hand is damaged, meaning she can no longer sculpt, and she ends up fleeing town after the death of her son. She moves to the Welsh countryside where she gradually learns to open up again after what she has lost. This book was advertised to me as having a mind-blowing twist, and I have to admit that I did correctly predict this twist. However, I'm not sure I would have predicted it had I not been told this book has an amazing twist. Because since I knew that there was going to be a twist that I was never going to expect going in, I, at one point or another, suspected literally every character of being the person who hit Jacob. I mean every character. There was not a single character in this book that I didn't wonder at one point, could they have been the hit and run driver? So while I did end up predicting it correctly before the twist was revealed, I do think it was a well executed twist, and there are a lot of people who are going to read this book and not see it coming at all. Though this book does have a mystery about who it is that hit Jacob, it is really a slow-paced book. I said earlier that it's a thriller, and I'm not actually sure if that was the best word to use because it's definitely not a very fast-paced book. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, because I did. And it definitely had some interesting twists and turns in the plot. The reason that I didn't give this book 5 stars is because, to me, the ending was a little too convenient. We have the first major twist that I correctly predicted, which I thought was executed very well, and like I said, I think a lot of people are not going to guess that twist. However, there is another reveal more towards the end of the book, and I just kind of felt like in order for that reveal to happen, something very convenient had to occur, and it just felt a little bit too much like a plot convenience for me. I hope that's making sense. Convenient is the best word that I can use to describe it. I also realized after reading this book and The Wife Between Us, which I read in June, that I have a new most hated thriller trope, and that is when there is, to not spoil anything, a male character who is abusive or villainous, and in order to let us know that this guy is a bad guy, the author has him be violent towards a pet. In The Wife Between Us, it was a dog, and in this book, it was a kitten, and even though The Wife Between Us, which I read in June, didn't go into that in detail, it was more so implied. In this book, it is very clear that a certain male character killed his partner's kitten because he was jealous of the attention she was giving the kitten. And even though it wasn't described in detail, just the thought was very disturbing to me. I can't stand violence against animals, and I also feel like it just wasn't necessary, because even if that hadn't been included, just seeing this character and seeing his thoughts and seeing his behavior, I knew that he was a bad person. So really, the violence against a kitten was completely unnecessary. I'm not saying that violence against other people isn't disturbing, because it is. It's just that for some reason, violence against animals affects me so deeply, and I think that's because cats and dogs are just so helpless and they depend on us for so much that seeing a person brutalize them is really hard for me to stomach. The next book that I read in July was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, which is the first in the Outlander series, and I gave this book 5 stars. I really wanted to read this because I finished binge watching the 4 seasons of Outlander, which is the TV studio adaptation on Starz, and I really liked the show, so I wanted to read the books, and I really liked the book as well. I'm definitely going to continue on in the series. So Outlander follows a World War II nurse, Claire Randall, who, while on a second honeymoon with her husband in Scotland, accidentally travels back to the 18th century. In her attempts to get back to her current time, she meets a Scottish Highlander named Jamie, and romance and adventure ensues. Now, this book definitely has what some people might call problematic elements, because it kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones in the aspect that there is a lot of sexual violence, attempted sexual violence or referenced sexual violence in the sake of historical accuracy. And while I don't love that, I had to give this book 5 stars anyway, just because I think it is such a great story and I really like the 2 main characters. I really like both Claire and Jamie as individuals and also the romantic relationship that they develop. I also think it's so interesting to see the Scottish clan culture, which honestly I really didn't know anything about. Outlander takes place around the Jacobite Risings, which is when some of the Scotsmen were trying to support the return of the Stuart family to the English throne, because the Stuarts were Scottish Catholics and the Scots didn't feel represented by the English crown. I also think there are so many interesting side characters in this book, and I'm really excited to continue on with the series because I really want to get ahead of where the TV show is so I can kind of know what's coming next. If you have seen the TV show, I think season 1 was definitely very faithful to the book. There wasn't really that much that they cut out, and that was nice to see. So I'm excited to continue on with the series and see what they have in common and where the show may have diverged, and to see what's going to come up in future seasons. So the third book that I read in the month of July was Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and I also gave this book 5 stars. I really don't have that much to say about this book because I don't want to spoil anything, and it is actually a really short novel. It is about 200 pages, and I am so impressed by how Agatha Christie could weave such an intricate plot in such a short book. So this is one of the Hercule Poirot mysteries. However, you don't have to read the series in order. I haven't been. Every story is contained in the one book, so it doesn't matter what order you read the Hercule Poirot stories in. Now, this takes place on the Orient Express train, and Hercule Poirot is approached by a man named Ratchet saying that his life is threatened and he needs Poirot to protect him. Now, Poirot declines this case. However, soon after, Ratchet is found murdered in his train compartment. Because the train got stuck in a snowdrift and there are no tracks in the snow outside, they know that it had to be someone in the coach who killed Ratchet. So Poirot starts interviewing all the other people on the train to find out who is behind this murder. Like I said, I don't want to say too much about this book because I don't want to give anything away, but I'll say after reading it, I don't know if there's anything about this book that I would change. I can't think of any major flaws in my personal opinion. I think it is really interesting to see how Poirot is able to psychoanalyze these colorful characters of people on the train, and I just think that there's so many great little details that you may not pick up on along the way that foreshadow the eventual shocking ending. I think a lot of people aren't going to see this ending coming at all. I did, because I ended up watching the Murder on the Orient Express movie before I read this book. It was the more recent adaptation, the one with Johnny Depp, which I watched on a plane for free when I was flying back from Spain last year, and I have to say the movie was not very good and the book is so much better, so I wish I hadn't watched the movie first because the ending just wasn't as well foreshadowed in the movie as it was in the book. I definitely have a habit of watching the movie or TV adaptation before I read the book or books it's based on. For example, like I said, I watched Outlander and watched Game of Thrones before I read those books. I watched some of the Harry Potter movies before I read those. And I think especially if it's a series, I like to watch the show or the movies first to see if it's something that I think I could get into, because reading a series is, to me, a huge time commitment. It's not something I do a lot. So I kind of like to see if this is something that I think I could get into first. However, in this case, I don't think it was such a great idea. It's just, it was something I did on impulse because I was on a plane and I had hours of flight time ahead of me. I needed something to watch. But I would definitely recommend that you read Murder on the Orient Express first and then watch the movie if you want, but the movie was only okay. So the final book that I read in July was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, and surprise, surprise, I gave this book 5 stars also. This is the 4th book in the Harry Potter series, and I don't think I need to tell you what this is about because I'm pretty sure everyone on the planet knows what the Harry Potter series is about. In this book, Harry ends up being forced to compete in a dangerous wizard tournament after somebody puts his name in the titular Goblet of Fire, and he doesn't know who that person was. I have to say, I really, really loved this book. I thought it was fantastic. When I read the first 2 Harry Potter books, I liked them, but I didn't really love them, if you know what I mean. I kind of felt like maybe I missed my chance to be a huge Harry Potter fan, but reading Prisoner of Azkaban and now Goblet of Fire, I thought both of those books were just phenomenal. They were so amazing, and now I totally understand why everyone loves this series so much, because now I love it too. I'm not gonna say too much about Goblet of Fire because I have a whole reading vlog for it. I will link that down below if you want to watch it. There will be spoilers in the reading vlog though, and I'm not gonna spoil anything here just in case any of you out there like me never read Harry Potter when you were a kid. If you haven't, I would definitely encourage you to give it a try. So what I really like about Prisoner of Azkaban and now Goblet of Fire is that the stakes in these books are definitely getting higher and higher, which is really interesting to see. I also think that one of the things that the Harry Potter series does so well is that it has so many amazing side characters. Not only do I love Harry, Hermione, and Ron, but there are also so many other characters that I really like Sirius Black, Cedric Diggory, Neville Longbottom, Dobby the House Elf. I think that this world is just so immersive and vibrant. I also think that even though I saw the Goblet of Fire movie when I was younger and I knew the ending, the foreshadowing for this ending was just amazing. There were things that I did pick up on knowing the ending, and there were other pieces of foreshadowing that just went completely over my head, and it was only when I got to the end of the book that I realized, oh my god, that was actually foreshadowing for the ending, and I missed it even knowing what the ending was going to be. I just thought this book was so good. I'm running out of adjectives for good to describe this book, but even though it's over 700 pages, I read it in a week, maybe 6 days, because I just couldn't put it down. It was so good. So those were the books that I read in the month of July. Let me know, what did you read in July, and what was your favorite? What was your least favorite? Did you have a good reading month? Let me know in the comments. If you would like to follow my social media, my Goodreads and Tumblr are linked down below, and exciting news, I now have a Bookstagram, which is also going to be linked down below if you want to follow me there. I would really appreciate it if you did. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.